Please like, comment, and subscribe.
In general, people don't want awareness. I've talked about this in many different ways, but it's always so interesting how we claim that we want something and then we do everything opposite. Humans often claim that they want more awareness. They want to be more present. But when you look at our collective behavior, we show the opposite. You know, as I have explained, the goal for the mind, for the brain, is for you to be completely um, operated by patterns, because patterns uh, are both genetic programmings, but also the extract of your interactions and experiences. Creating new programmings, basically saying we know how to do this. And it's supposed to work that way. That's why you have habits. You repeat stuff and they become programmings if you do it for long enough and you're not aware of it anymore. And consciousness in the brain, when it comes to true awareness, only occurs when you are stressed. When the brain recognizes that my current programming is not sufficient. So then you switch from automatic to manual in that situation, and you have to become aware. And you'll have the chemicals, and fear and stress is normally what causes that to happen. And you will have this tiny kind of keyhole that you peep through. And then you try to relate to the situation, figure out what is it that I need to learn, what should I do? And then we become creative and inventive and we adapt. And when we figure it out, we go back to sleep, because then we create a new programming. It's supposed to work that way for the life form. It's important to understand that it's not a problem in itself. It's how the life form survives. But spiritually, what we can do is to take advantage of that process. Because when we see that we need stress in order to wake up, something needs to happen that is out of the ordinary, something we do not expect, right? And even in our spiritual work, it's the situations that stand out, where things do not go as planned, or it's not normal. That will tune us in. It's the same mechanism. But when we look at where we are at today with the systemic stress, where we have so much stress because this world is not recognizable to our genetic programming, so we are all in a lot of stress all the time, which triggers the potential of more awareness everywhere, because nothing is working according to your genetics. Everything is just a big mess. So you could make use of that. So think in the old days, where things normally, nothing really happened out of the ordinary. Once you figured out how life worked, that was your life, and you would just repeat that until you died. And then maybe something would happen now and then that was unusual, and then you will deal with that. But now that is constant. So stress is there to trigger mutation, as I've explained before. But when it happens, to this level, it means that we can wake up. But what do people do? Every time we find just a new and more creative way to self-medicate, to go back to sleep. And this is why, as I have explained, why humans today often juggle, 20 different ways of self-medication at the same time. Everything humans do today mostly has to do with self-medication, to numb themselves, to numb their minds, to numb that systemic stress, instead of becoming aware. And this is what we need to do in spiritual work. This is how we wake up. This is why you are in the process of waking up. It's not necessarily because you're that smart. It's because you're that stressed. But somewhere inside of you, you've realized, oh, okay, there's something going on here. I get more wiggle room in this space. I can think instead of just being in my patterns. I can feel more freely. I can feel and sense that connectedness. And I can sense that information is flowing through me in this point. And that's what systemic stress can do. We can experience that opening more often. So, when you look at spiritual tradition, great suffering is normally what has led people onto a spiritual path. Life has been completely unbearable. It's not because they're so well adjusted and happy. It's not those people. And you are those people. You've been there, done that. And it's always because you find yourself being dysfunctional, not fitting in, being in an enormous amount of pain and stress. But you were able to use that to wake up. But most people are not. And this is, to me, also a sign when someone is ready for their spiritual path. It's how they respond to that level of stress. Because life has to become completely unbearable for someone to wake up. When they're happy in their horizontal life and they're well-adjusted, everything works, why would you want to wake up? You're living the dream. You're living in a dream. It's only when it becomes unbearable and that stress starts triggering our brains, that's when we start looking for a different solution. And when we only have a little bit of stress, the solutions will always be horizontal. But when the stress gets to a certain level, the brain understands, I have to turn elsewhere. And it starts by fleeing into your own inner worlds, because that's how you numb the pain. But then you realize, oh, I can actually connect by doing that. If I'm in that space of stress and I connect there, okay, it works. So it is also a biological, evolutionary component of your process of awakening. So most people do not respond that way. They just want more medication. And when you look at our society today, people are just desperate to find new ways to numb themselves. Absolutely desperate. Because they're still looking for the answers in the horizontal. And as you know, you only find peace when you're in connectedness. Your biology, however, is programmed to seek horizontal solutions. And that's why it's so difficult, even for you, to move out of self-medication, that kind of numbing strategies, because that's what your biology knows how to do. But still, the process of awakening is that conversion in point after point. And for you gradually to use the stress and to redirect where you place your focus and attention.